So I'm always quite unsettled with the idea that you should just start a family. You know, the way your relatives throw it at you. That stubborn uncle and aunt who just says, what are you waiting for? We've educated you, you've gone to college, just start, just get pregnant. We are going to raise the baby. If it's so hard for you, we'll raise it. Just make someone pregnant or just bring your pregnancy. I don't like that. I don't like when people say that. I don't like and appreciate the mindlessness with which, especially as Africans, we are given to be so reckless. And the divorce a lot of us witness around our relationships with how people are resigned from their futures. Nobody thinks that they have anything to do with their future. So they are resigned. And especially when it comes to family matters, that really breaks my heart. It bores me to death, even more than breaking my heart. You know, this recklessness with which people say you should just get a child, a whole child. I know we've talked about babies and what are required for you to get a child, but even a relationship, leave alone a baby, even a romantic relationship, getting another woman in your space or a man in your space as your spouse or your boyfriend or girlfriend, surely it shouldn't just be like going to a supermarket to get a set of omelets and then you fry them. It's a human being. You know, it's a human being. Good evening, my name is Eric and this is Eric Stories. How are you? Did you have a nice day? I wanted to have a quick chat about what it means to be ready to be in a relationship. Do you ever get confronted with such questions? Somebody tells you, okay, so what is it that you're waiting to be ready about? And sometimes it's just hard. It's so hard. It's so hard for you to explain. You're hard pressed to explain. You're just like, okay, just don't feel ready quite, Uncle Joshua. But when I get ready, I'll let you know, like you owe them to let them know you don't. You know, but I'm bothered. I'm bothered with anybody who keeps pushing somebody to just start. And they say weird things like, oh, you know, your mom and I, now your aunt, we just started in a small 10 by 10 in Kaloleni. And that's where we had all of your cousins, the 9 of them. And you say, we turned out all right. I mean, bless your heart, but shouldn't you do better than what you are dealt? Is that the formula for starting a family, that we should be crammed up, 11 of us, in a small room? Is it so wrong that I should move to a 3-bedroom house and maybe get a child as I check things out and maybe I plan my finances? What are the prerequisites? I think there should be some prerequisites before you plunge. I mean, marriage and a relationship is not a need. It's not a necessity so that if you're not dating, you're going to choke like and be buried. You're not going to die, so what's the hurry? And I know a lot of my acquaintances who, you know, they get into the pressure of, oh my God, I'm 44, and you know, the village has been talking, I just need to do it. And I'm just like, come on, like, no one is going to raise that baby for you, or that wife for you, or that man for you. It's your relationship, all right? I think romance requires some certain prerequisites before you commit and become ready. I know a lot of people in the years past frown upon the ready conversation, but I think so. I think you ought to be ready about some very key things. What do you think? I was just scribbling before I came on. Yeah, I think you should be ready, or to look for really keenly, is that you've sorted out your own issues. I really believe in this, and your issues are varied. Some people have brokenness issues. You're broke. Brokenness is not a disability. Anybody can work hard and make money. But if you can barely string together coins to even have breakfast alone, Clement, alone now, you can't have breakfast. Surely, for the love of God, just think for 3 minutes. Why then would you subject a lady to that very strenuous circumstances? You are hard pressed. You are yawning perpetually because of hunger. But you're also pushing for a relationship. Do you have your priorities right? Really? I mean, okay, fine. Don't you want to maybe just say, okay, fine, I'm going to work really hard for 1 year. I'm yawning now and I can barely have breakfast. But God willing, if I push myself in this business or exerting myself to get this employment, maybe I can have a stable income, have a job, maybe afford a quarter sugar, have a space where I can have somebody in my space. I mean, you stay with your mom now, you're 38, you live with your mom, and that's your arrangement, that's your reality. Is it really important that you have a girlfriend who sneaks in your mother's house to come sleep with you? What's happening, man, Clement? So you need to sort out your own issues. First of all, order of a priority for you should be top tier to move out of your mother's house. Number one, move out, and then you can go have sex later. It cannot be ejaculating while in your mother's house. That's crazy. So you want to move out. That's your issue to sort out. And maybe get yourself something meaningful to do with your life. Maybe not employment if that's not your thing, but just work. Like gainfully exerting yourself in the society, and you're earning your own living. It's attractive, even for the person you'll be sleeping with. But now umekwama and you're there trying to get a girlfriend. Another issue would be mental health. You know you snap and you shout and your things were done to you when you're growing up. Your childhood was tough. But you're busy trying to cultivate a relationship and you are damaged, you know you don't even need to be told. You know you have anger issues. You know you are very temperamental. You know you get really upset and start kicking the wall until you bleed. You know that you get really upset and slice your wrist and then you start bleeding. A lady once told me that if she's very angry, she has to see blood and then she calms down. That is not normal. That is not normal. And her husband's knee suffered a lot of her stabs because they dug you a bit and then she stabbed the husband's knee. So that's a bit of the issue you need to sort out. Are you angry? Were you abused when you were little? Are you broke so that you need work? I mean, do you want to set your space so that it's a bit tidy before you invite somebody in it, man or woman? That's part of being ready. Surely, even that child you yearn for, they don't want to find you in that state you are in. Like, seek help. You are unwell. Nothing wrong with it. Just owning up and saying, you know what, me, I get angry really fast. Or you know what, I can't keep a job. Or you know what, I'm struggling with alcoholism. Or you know what, I have a problem with this addiction. I need to sort these out first before I can have somebody in my space. That is going to do you some good. You'll be good for yourself and for the other person. So you can't just brush aside being ready as mendacious stupidity or propaganda. There's a place for being ready. Second thing you need to be ready about, your ex is no longer a factor. Sort out your ex drama. Do you have a baby mama challenge? A woman who comes and smashes the windscreen of your car because you've not paid for child upkeep? Do they tweet about you randomly in the heart of the day and you're here trying to romance somebody else? Why don't you sort that out first? Why don't you say, okay, I'll be paying for child upkeep like this and now I've moved on to another relationship and I'd appreciate if you don't come by my house unannounced because it's going to hurt my young relationship that I'm trying to cultivate. That is a thing that you need to work on before being ready for another relationship. Your ex is no longer a challenge. You don't depend on others. You are dependent. You don't depend on your mom or your dad or your uncle. Nobody is sending you money for your upkeep. So that if they faint or they don't pick your phone calls, you are panicking because they're your source. And here you are trying to set up a relationship. What's that about? You know, who would want to do something serious with someone like that? Why don't you depend on yourself? A relationship is a want and not a need. You don't need to subject yourself to that. All right? Another thing which I think is a prerequisite, you take your time getting to know someone or not, you know. So you want to do things very quickly. You know, you don't take your time. Another way of being ready is taking time to know somebody. Know them. It's important. Think about it. People spend the most time. If you look at all these constructions, they spend the most time on the foundation. You know, when the city council in proper working countries, when the city council comes and finds a crack on the wall, they just issue a notice so that the wall is fixed. But if they find a crack on the foundation, they shut the place down because the foundation is messed up. So the whole building can come down. That is true with many things. So get to know somebody. Get to know somebody for a good minute. Talk to them. Get to know their temperaments. know about their homestead. You know those things you think are outdated? Where they come from? Do they suffer chronic illness? Do they suffer chronic illness? Know them. Like, know them outside from their set of cute outward appearances. What's their story? What's their story? Know them. Take your time. However sufficiently you feel it would be sufficing for you to know them, know them. If it takes 4 years, 5 years, 3 years, get to know them until you feel satisfied. I'm sure you could say, you know, we can never get to the end of the line of knowing somebody, but know the basics. I mean, you can't just start marrying somebody you barely know. You've met in a train from SGR Nairobi to Mombasa, and then the next thing you're getting married. Well, it makes for a nice novel, but it's not wise, I think. Some ways or things that say you are not ready for a relationship. You are looking for somebody to save you. Yeah. To save you from your things. Whatever it is. You know those things we talked about earlier? You've shikamanad. You are looking for someone to save you. Maybe a chick who has more money than you so that she can be sending you money because your parents have cut you off. You are not ready for a relationship. You need to save yourself. You're not happy with yourself. You're not happy with yourself. You're not ready. If you're not happy with you, how can somebody else be happy with you? How? You don't like yourself. You don't like yourself. That's what you're going to be projecting to the next person. They're not likely to like you either. You're spending more and more time pursuing love than pursuing your own interests. You're keen on love, keen on love. You're like, oh, you know, mama completes me. That's sad. So if mama dies or leaves you for somebody else, what happens to you? Pursue your own interests. Nothing wrong with pursuing love, but your own interests count too. They count for something. Or the other way you know you're not ready, you get emotionally involved too quickly. Too quickly. Somebody takes you out for coffee 1 minute, you start showing all of your friends his pictures or her pictures. Like, see, she's cute, he's cute. Aki, I love him. Aki, you need to relax. So there's a conversation to be had about being ready. Whatever ready is for you, please get ready. Don't just give yourself off to people and you are just a raw material. Now you are a deficit. You are a deficit. You are not an asset. You are going to be somebody's headache and a prayer item. You are. You meet and this guy is, oh Jesus, fix him, fix him. Work on yourself, I think. So that if somebody asks, what are you doing? Gleefully say, I'm being ready. I have challenges I'm working on. After I fix this, then I can present myself better to somebody else. What do you think? Good evening and have a lovely night.